The Slender Man is an alleged paranormal figure purported to have been in existence for years, covering a large geographic area. Believers in the Slender Man tie his appearance with many other legends around the world, including the Dark Man in Scotland, the Dutch Takken Man, or Branch Man, and the German legend of Gross Man, the Tall Man. The Slender Man is a being in male appearance who looks like a man with extremely long, slender arms and legs. He also appears to have 4 to 8 long black tentacles that protrude from his back, though different photographs and enthusiasts disagree on this fact, and therefore it is theorized he can contract these tentacles at will. He is described as wearing a black suit strikingly similar to the visage of a notorious Men in Black, and as the name suggests, appears very thin and able to stretch his limbs and torso to inhumane lengths in order to induce fear and ensnare his prey. Once his arms are outstretched, his victims are put into something of a hypnotized state, where they're rendered utterly helpless to stop themselves from walking into them. He is also able to create tendrils from his fingers and back that he uses to walk in a similar fashion to Dr. Octopus. The superhuman stretching ability could also be seen as a similarity between himself and Mr. Fantastic. Whether he absorbs, kills, or merely takes his victims to an undisclosed location or dimension is also unknown, as there are never any bodies or evidence left behind in his wake to deduce a definite conclusion. His face is pale and slightly ghostly, and almost appears to have been wrapped in a type of gauze of cloth. His facial features are also object of debate, and many people believe that his face looks different to each person, if it is seen at all. He sometimes is portrayed as wearing a hat, which is sometimes a bowler, a fedora, or sometimes a tofat. He may also be seen wearing a long, flowing necktie or scarf, which is either red or gray. He often keeps his long, pale hands crossed politely behind his back, or hanging loosely at his sides. His suit is black, sometimes portrayed as pinstripe in artwork, a common misconception thanks to a very similar Jack Skellington from A Nightmare Before Christmas. He has long coattails which he lets flow proudly. He wears long dress shoes which are always shined a perfect gleaming black. Much of the fascination with Slender Man is rooted in the overall aura of mystery that he is wrapped in. Despite the fact that it is rumored he kills children almost exclusively, it's difficult to say whether or not his only objective is slaughter. Oftentimes it is either reported or recorded that he can be found in sections of woods, and these generally tend to be suburban. He has also been reported seeing with large groups of children, as many photographs portray. It is commonly thought that he resides in woods and forests and preys on children. He seems unconcerned with being exposed in the daylight or captured in photos. It is often thought as well that he enjoys stalking people who become overly paranoid about his existence, purposely giving them glimpses of himself in order to further frighten them. For this reason, it seems like Slender Man very much enjoys psychologically torturing his victims. He also often appears to float or drift around rather than walking, which suggests the possibility of him being an ethereal rather than a creature or a man. This would also explain why he is able to remain mobile in spite of his poorly proportioned body. Even though Slender Man was fabricated on something awful forums, or was he, some people have already claimed sightings. He is seen mostly at night, peering into open windows, and walks out in front of lone motorists on secluded roads. His main intentions appear to be kidnapping children, as when he is seen near them in photographs, they usually disappear shortly afterwards. In the end, however, his purpose remains unknown. The earliest argued reference to the legend is within the cave paintings found in the Serra da Capriva National Park in the northeast of Brazil, which are believed to date back as far as 9000 BC. These paintings show a strangely elongated character leading a child by the hand, but make no reference to the extra appendages. The next known possible reference to the Slender Man comes from around 3100 BC in Lower Egypt, with references to the Thief of God through the Thief of Kuk becoming commonplace during the reign of Pharaoh Wasner. Hieroglyphic carvings representing the thief were found in the pharaoh's tomb, who was rumored to have some kind of encounter with the entity. The carvings resemble a strange figure with multiple upper limbs, one that has never been found in any other hieroglyphic language. Renowned German woodcutter Hans Freckenberg created at least 2 woodcuts featuring a character he described as Der Ritter, the Knight, during the mid-16th century that were discovered in Halsberg Castle in 1883. Whilst Freckenberg was well known for his realistic depiction of human anatomy, something that was unusual among woodcuts of the time, these pictures featured a skeletal, multi-limbed character. Historians are unsure of the exact symbolic nature of the character, with some claiming that it's a personification of the religious wars that enraged in Europe at the time. while others say that it represents the mysterious plagues that have been believed to be the reason for the mysterious abandoning of the Halsberg Castle and the nearby village in 1543. However, many insist that Freckenberg was attempting to represent Der Grossman, the Tall Man. According to legend, he was a fairy who lived in the Black Forest. Bad children who crept into the woods at night would be relentlessly chased by Der Grossman, who wouldn't leave them be until he either caught them or they were forced to tell their parents of their wrongdoing. Even then, there is a chilling account from an old journal dating back from 1702. My child, my loss, he is gone, taken from his bed. The only thing that we found was a scrap of black clothing. It feels like cotton, but is softer, thicker. Lars came into my bedroom yesterday, screaming at the top of his lungs that the angel is outside. I asked him what he was talking about, and he told me some nonsense fairy story about Der Grossman. He said he went into the groves by our village and found one of my cows dead, hanging from a tree. I thought nothing of it at first, but now he is gone. We must find Lars, and my family must leave before we are killed. I'm sorry, my son. I should have listened. May God forgive me. There is also a Romanian fairy tale which tells the legend of the Tall Man, featuring this description which may have been taken to refer to the Slender Man. The tall man stood in a clearing, dressed as a nobleman, all in black. Shadows lay over him, dark as a cloudy midnight. He had many arms, all long and boneless as snakes, all sharp as swords, and they withered like worms on nails. He did not speak, but he made his intentions known. In the fairy tale, the tall man causes a mother to kill her husband and child, before he slid from a fireplace and clenched her in his burning embrace. There is also an English myth referring to the Tree Man, whom is said to have a slim body with appendages that look like tree branches. He is only known to be seen in the woods and was used as a story that parents told their children to thwart bad behavior. There have been quite a few disappearances of children that have been said to be linked to the Tree Man. How much of this evidence is indeed true is quite unknown. It's said that he originated on something awful. However, there are many sightings that prove otherwise. Judge for yourself.